watching. What's up? What's up? We're back. We're back in Orlando. Braun and Pierzynski, Kratz from Pennsylvania, parts unknown. And what do we say to AJ, Kratz? What do we say?
Happy New Year, AJ!
Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
We got one more day of that. And then
Happy
it's over.
New Year!
One more day. One more day. We're not going
January
through this.
6th.
We're not going through this
limit?
whole skit again.
This is the first full week after New Year's.
Yeah, I know.
You got one more day?
You got one more day. Because then it's January 7th, and then it's been a week.
Disagree.
It's time to move on.
Okay.
1 week.
If you're watching right now via YouTube and you can chat with us, let us know the over-under on when it's okay to say Happy New Year to those around you, including colleagues, friends, family, people that you see.
No.
When does it hit the point, date-wise, where you're like, enough?
1 week.
Okay. That's what you say.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I'm a little nicer where I say it can extend through the first full week after New Year's. So people have until Friday.
The 1st to the 7th is 1 full week.
1 full week after Jan 1, but I'm saying the first full week. Like not many people were really with it at the end of last week.
I know I wasn't.
Exactly. So we'll get into the trips later. I know a lot of people want to hear a lot of things from when you were gone in terms of moves that were made, but we'll start with the most recent news. So let's charge the damn Mound.
Charging the Mound.
Charlie Morton still kicking. Age 41 season.
He said he was retiring like 7 years ago.
Didn't he?
I'm done. Oh, here's 20. Oh, I'm done. Here's 20. Oh, I'm done. Oh, here's 20. Oh, here's 15. He's coming back again. I mean,
Can you blame him?
Run it back.
no. Why not?
Yeah.
He's doing all right. It's not like he's awful.
He's probably got a line in his head where he's like, as long as I get more than X, I'm playing again.
Yeah, 15 million. Yeah,
Yes.
I'll play again.
I think that
Sign me up,
plays.
coach.
Yeah. The line, I think there's been some players in the past. Like, remember we had Zach Britton on the show and he was like, yeah, just hit a point where I was like, this is too low for me to mess up my arm again. And I'm trying to think in my head, I'm like, okay, this guy's made this much. What's the number? It's certainly not 15. I think it's not 10. I think for Charlie, it's probably 3 to 5 where he starts to go,
Or if his performance really drastically dives, which it hasn't. I mean, he had under a 4 last year.
And what does he do better than almost anyone else in the game in the last several years?
Take the ball.
Yes. He pitches. Like, that's meaningful. Braves fans were pissed at him at the end. I'm like, he's 40. He's won you a World Series. Kratz, he's had a great run for them. There were way too many Braves fans kicking him out the door. And I listened to Hammer Territory this weekend. They did a pop-up episode and they said the same thing. And they're more dialed in on a daily basis with fans on social media. And they were like, why are so many people saying, bye, see you later? I get it. It's okay for you to not bring him back for 15 mil as a potentially number 5 starter. He's more valuable with Baltimore right now. But I'm like, really? Every Braves fan should be giving him a big hug and kiss on his way out the door.
Did everything you asked of him. I think, what did he make last year? 15 million? Shoot. This was how many years in a row now? 4 years he played for them, or 3 years? 4 years.
I think he did
You
4 years.
can't ask for anything more. Huge games. Huge games.
I'm looking.
I mean, won a World Series
Yeah.
for him, right? He pitched. He took the ball every 5th day. He was a
Every
leader
day.
for some of the young guys, right? Still throws mid-90s with a curveball.
Mm-hmm.
Still is effective. Why not keep pitching? I don't understand why you wouldn't.
He wanted to end his career with Atlanta. I don't think the Braves were going to offer this much money. I think they probably did have a conversation. It wasn't close to this number. He does want to build comfort into his decisions. He lives in Bradenton, Florida, whereas Baltimore's spring training, Sarasota. Clearly that mattered to Corbin Burns too.
Yeah.
Where he reached out to Arizona and was like, can we make this happen so I can live in one place all year?
Yeah.
It's not a bad gig.
It's a great gig.
Yeah.
Plus the state taxes, people, I don't know if you guys hit on that, but there's a huge state tax break in Arizona.
Oh, well,
A little bit.
compared to
New York,
New York,
California.
California.
I mean, all the places he was rumored to go.
Canada's got all kinds of
Canada.
intricacies because we did have Mike Wilner on the show last Friday. And he was talking about how the dollar plays more up there, but I don't know. That gets too complicated for me.
Yeah,
I know
but
the taxes are crazy up there.
it's still crazy. I mean, but
Yeah.
to go from Arizona to New York and California, the places he was really rumored to go,
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge difference.
Huge. Yeah. So what?
And
Yeah.
as much as people don't want to believe this, being at home for spring training is a huge deal, especially now that he has young kids. It is gigantic. I know my last 2 years when I played for Atlanta, I got to live in spring training in my house. Oh, It was a joke. I was
It
like,
shortens
I'll
the
go to
season a
spring
lot.
training forever if I can live at home.
Right.
I can take my kids to school. I can pick them up. And God bless Freddie Gonzalez. He never made me go on the road. So if it was a road game, I'd pick my kids up from school, bring them home. It was great. It was like I wasn't even working.
People say, well, spring training's only 6-ish weeks. Why does that matter? You're on the road, if you don't live there, the entire time. When you play for your team during the season, you play on the road for a week and a half, then you're home for a week and a half. This is just 6 weeks in Florida. And if you live in LA or Texas or whatever, you're not going home.
No, the biggest thing, and I think Kratz knows this too, is you have to find a place to rent. They overcharge you because they know every little city in Florida, even in Phoenix, out in Arizona, Scottsdale, wherever you are, they all overcharge for everything. So you're paying a huge premium for usually not a great place. And then you have to pay it. And it's 6 weeks. You know how hard it is to find a 6-week rental?
Not easy.
It ain't easy to find a 6-week rental anywhere.
Both spots are difficult in their own way because in Florida, you're in certain smaller places that just don't have a ton of big, nice rental homes available for players. In Arizona, it's essentially one area where everybody's trying to get homes.
And one of the things I didn't like about Arizona, and I mean, I'm a Florida guy, obviously I live in Florida, was every time you went somewhere, you saw somebody. So you always had to be on. You couldn't, like in Florida, you can say you're in Port Charlotte where the Rays are, right? You can go to dinner and not see anybody the whole time.
Yep.
Arizona, every night you'd see 12 people and you're like, oh, hey. And you're like, gosh, I just want to have dinner and not have to talk to everybody. But it was like spring training 24/7.
That's why a lot of guys stay in. They go home after playing for the day and they just order in and they play video games because they don't want to run into anyone. Because there's a lot of guys in baseball, I don't know if anyone's aware, that are pretty antisocial. There's some that love it. And then there's some that are like, I'm not going to see anyone. So I'm just going to go home. If they're rich enough, they have a private chef, the whole deal. So anyway, what do we think on the team side? First, let's start with Baltimore. Kratz, the Orioles offseason has been blank.
Mid for a regular team, below average for a team that I think should be propelling themselves to be a World Series contender. So I think it was I just feel like it's mid. Great pickup. Absolutely a great pickup. Is this what they need to do, though?
I'll give you numbers. So Cott's baseball contracts puts the Baltimore payroll right now at $136 million. Last year's opening day payroll was $93 million. So you look and you're like, okay, that's almost $45 million more bucks being spent on the opening day roster. Do you know that in 2016, their opening day payroll was $148 million? Clearly, they can withstand a payroll like that.
And this was the whole thing, though, with the Rubenstein coming in, right? And taking over, was they were going to spend. And the Tyler O'Neill contract is nice, but he's got an opt-out after year one.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Sanchez is a one-year deal. Charlie Morton is a one-year deal. When is Mike Elias going to go out and say, I'm making a splash? He won't trade anybody, prospect hordes, right?
Well, he did
made
last
the move
year
for Burns. But he still has so many guys.
Yeah.
There's still guys available. Why couldn't he go get Crochet? Because he didn't want to lose his prospects.
Correct.
Why wouldn't he go get Dylan Cease? He doesn't want to give up his prospects. Well, at some point, you got to try and win. And listen, Mike Elias has done a great job rebuilding the Baltimore Orioles, but you got to spend. And one thing we've learned over the years, you can have all the prospects you want, but if you don't spend to put it over the top, like the Cubs did in 2016, like the Astros did when they finally got there in 2017, they went out and got Verlander, right?
Mm-hmm.
They went out and made some bigger moves to bring in some payroll. It's almost impossible to win with just homegrown guys.
What about Luis Castillo? Doesn't that seem like a good matchup for both sides?
Perfect.
That is the matchup. Why? Because the Mariners, I think, are finally at a point where they do have to trade from their rotation. You're going to pick the most expensive guy. They are severely budget restrained. So what do? If you need offense, you trade with a team where you can get a player that is either on a league minimum deal or really that's it, league minimum kind of player, right? He's either just cracked into the big leagues or he's going to crack the big leagues this year. I know Kobe Mayo's name has been brought up a lot. My thing, though, is Kratz. I don't think the Orioles want to trade a player like that. They're too scared of what he could look like on another ball club. But even if it's not Mayo, we've talked about plenty of guys. It's Kjerstad, Mountcastle, etc. There is a fit between those two clubs.
Absolutely. What I love about it for the Orioles, too, is it's not a one-year deal. It's not a little Band-Aid because after this year, Bradish will come back. Now you have a Bradish, Luis Castillo, and Grayson Rodriguez in your rotation. And it's not just like it's a way to hit a free agent type of pitcher which I think Luis Castillo at 20, I think he's 25 a year, and I think he's got 3 more years left. Now you kind of fit that in. You fit a veteran guy in who's proven, he's stayed healthy. Bang, you put him right in there. I think that is a huge, huge, huge plus for this team. It's okay if you trade Kobe Mayo. It's okay if you trade from your prospect capital and they go and have a year like Joey Ortiz had for the Brewers. That's fine. That's actually helping that player out while helping your organization.
Mm-hmm. And then 1 minute on the Atlanta Braves. Braves fans are freaking out.
Why?
And they're a lot of them are angry at Alex Anthopoulos. They're like, he's not trying hard enough. I'm like, oh my
He's
gosh.
trying hard enough.
Of course he's trying hard enough. They're a little budget restrained too. They've spent a lot. Now you can look at their books. The problem with the Braves is that they're a publicly traded franchise, and you can just Google it, look up how much money they made this past season, and you're like, how come that's not going into the major league franchise? Owners want to pocket some of their investment, and they've had a really successful team. It's great for their shareholders. That's right. But they're looking and going, well, how are we getting better? Because every year they've done damage, and this year they've shed a lot of players, but they haven't added much. So something to keep in mind. The Braves aren't going to have an empty offseason. They're going to do something. I think they're just waiting for prices to come down, which is what many teams are going to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do anything big.
They don't need to do anything big, in my opinion.
They need to do something.
Dude, that's a good division. I know Acuna. Do you remember when Acuna came back last time from this injury?
Yeah, he wasn't good in 40-70.
No, that was the year after. Remember the first year he comes back.
That's right.
He wasn't good. Strider's obviously going to come back at some point. So anyway, Braves fans are freaking out. I'm sure they'll do something at some point, but the Orioles get some nice depth from a guy who's putting together 30-plus starts on a yearly basis. It's just probably more of a back-end starter in the AL East. We'll see if they try and get someone who's more of a 1, 2, or 3 going forward. Next up on the show, Roki Sasaki talk. We're going to have different writers make their pitch. Kyle Glaser is going to join us to pitch the Padres. Oh, I like that. New graphics in 2025. Let's shout out Orgain. Look what I got.
I had an Orgain after my workout this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm usually more into the just ready-made drinks.
Because you're lazy.
But, yes, because I'm lazy. But I actually, like Kratz has, I actually did throw this together in here today, and it went pretty well. Don't make fun of the bottle.
No, I'm making fun of why is it brown?
This is chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was vanilla.
This is chocolate. Oh, because of the leaf here?
Yeah.
No, look.
He went. We always think it's got to be some kind of coffee in there. So if it's Scott, there's some kind of coffee. Right,
yes, but it's chocolate.
Oh, okay, that's why I was like, wait a minute,
why.
that sure looks like vanilla to me. You're holding up.
This one is vanilla.
Okay, exactly. See, now you know why I looked at you. I'm like, how is that brown?
I have a chocolate tub.
Okay.
So anyway. The reason that you should get Orgain is if you're looking for the protein boost, the 30-gram protein shakes like Kratz has are there for you. You don't even have to make your own drink like I do. Also, they believe in taste, and the taste is smoothie milkshake vibes, which is what we always talk about. So, FT fam.
They have shakers, too. We need to get Scotty an Orgain shaker. I'm just saying. There's shakers on the Orgain website, not a plastic water bottle.
You think I'm going to be that guy at the gym?
Totally. You know, you're the guy at the gym that shakes his water bottle and sets the camera up to see who's watching.
Well, I am on a camera 2 hours a day with you. So there's no quick fixes when it comes to your health. But if you want more protein, give Orgain 30-gram protein shakes a try. Head over to Orgain.com/foul30. And if you use code FOUL30, you get 30% off your order. That is the best offer you will find. You have to use the code FOUL30 for 30% off. Coming right back with Kyle Glaser to talk about the Padres and specifically their pitch to Roki Sasaki. Here we go, back with Kyle Glaser, who covers the Padres among many other teams, prospects, the whole deal. And he joins us right now on FT to go over the Roki Sasaki recruiting madness that's going on right now. He is going to sign with a team soon and make his
White
selection.
Sox, baby!
The White Sox are not in the mix.
The White Sox are going to do
We
it.
know the teams that are involved.
The White Sox.
The Padres
The White Sox.
had a meeting already with him in Los Angeles.
The White Sox.
Don't listen to him. The White Sox got rejected. So did the Red Sox. So did the Phillies, among many other teams.
The Phillies didn't even get a meeting. At least the White
That's
Sox
what I'm
got
saying.
a meeting.
Did they get a meeting?
How's that feel, Kratz?
Anyway, Kyle, good to see you. Make your recruiting pitch. First off, if you're the San Diego Padres, what is your pitch to Roki Sasaki to join them instead of a team like the Dodgers?
Yeah, the main pitch the Padres can make over a team like the Dodgers, first and foremost, would be quality of living. I'm from San Diego. I live in Los Angeles now. I love both places, but look, San Diego is a nicer place to live than Los Angeles. A lot less traffic, a lot less people, a lot less of the unsavory aspects. So, number one, you're going to get a higher quality of life living in San Diego. And the second part of the pitch the Padres can and should make is that Roki Sasaki, if he comes to San Diego, has a chance to elevate the Padres to a place they've never been before. The Dodgers are already the reigning World Series champions. They have a lot of World Series titles in their history. The Padres are a competitive team that's made the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 years and has won a playoff series 3 of the last 5 years, but they've never won a World Series. If Roki Sasaki comes to San Diego and elevates them to a World Series champion, he will have helped do something no one else has ever done before. He will truly be a history maker. I think that, above all else, is the pitch the Padres can and should make to Roki Sasaki.
We all feel like this is a done deal already. Whatever team he's going to go to, all this like pitch and everything is like just kind of semantics. But is it an advantage for the Padres if it's not already done? Is it an advantage for the Padres that he doesn't want to talk to any of the current players? Because he obviously looks up to Yu Darvish as one of his heroes. So do they sit at the front runner because, okay, well, I don't want to really talk to any of the players, but I really want to hang around Yu Darvish?
What I'll say is, generally speaking, within the industry right now, the Dodgers and Padres are considered the two frontrunners for a multitude of reasons. One official put it to me that he feels like the Dodgers are just a hair ahead of the Padres. I had another say they thought they were neck and neck. So for a number of reasons, most in the game consider the Dodgers and Padres the top two contenders for Roki Sasaki. At the same time, the other teams who have met with them, the Cubs, the Giants, the Mets, the Yankees, it's not a non-zero chance that they end up signing him. I spoke to an official from one of those clubs who is heavily involved in the bidding, and they said they were given the impression that they have a fair shot. They have a legit chance. So it depends a little bit who you talk to, who you believe, but for a number of reasons, most in the game do believe the Dodgers and Padres are the two front runners.
Why would he pick the Padres, though? I mean, seriously, I get it, but the Padres are cutting payroll. The Dodgers are like, well, yeah, we'll take you. We'll take Snell. We'll take Ohtani. We'll take Teo back. We'll go get Kim. We're doing all these moves. Why would he go? Like, I get why, you can be the first one to win a World Series. Okay, cool. The chances of that happening, though, with the way the Padres are slashing payroll, and there's also Luis Arraez possibly being traded. So I just don't know. I mean, I get it, unless he just really enjoys San Diego over LA. And I just don't know why someone would, at this moment, if I have a choice, and if the money is the same, I'm going to LA.
A lot of it will come down to the strength of relationships. We see with Japanese players, especially, having those strong relationships with team front office officials, players on the team, any number of stakeholders plays a big role in where they sign. And if Roki Sasaki looks around, his relationships with the Padres compared to his relationships with the Dodgers, if he feels like over the course of his meetings, he connects with Padres front office officials better, that would be the main reason he'd sign. Again, the Padres have a slightly higher international bonus pool than the Dodgers, so the Padres can give him a larger bonus than the Dodgers can. But really, the money is not going to be a huge factor here because we're talking about small increments. It's going to come down to strength of relationships, and ultimately, only he's going to be the one to know how he feels, who he connects best with.
Who is afraid of the fact he only threw 10 innings, 11 innings last year? And I get it. He's going to essentially basically be like a first round draft pick on a league minimum type of contract. It's that kind of money. So I guess if he gets hurt, whatever, but who's afraid of that? are the Padres or the Dodgers, or is nobody afraid of that? Doesn't really even matter. And this guy comes out and gives you 18 starts. It's a good year.
Every team is very, very aware of it, that Roki Sasaki does have a little bit of an injury history. He had a torn oblique back in 2023 that limited him. He had some shoulder and arm fatigue last year that limited him. Every team is aware of it. But for the price of essentially no more than a $12 million signing bonus at the absolute maximum, you're talking about getting potentially one of the most talented pitchers in baseball. And one international scouting director I spoke to put it, you might only get 150 innings, but it's going to be 150 innings of absolute lightning. And if you look at a guy, comparison would be maybe like a Tyler Glasnow, who also has never really thrown more than 150 innings, but every team in baseball would love to have him. You're talking about that kind of impact, even if it is in a more limited workload. Every team in baseball would want that.
Kyle, what else do you have for us on the scouting report? Obviously, you've always been very dialed in on international players. So when you see Roki Sasaki, do you see someone that is a one? Do you see someone that eventually will even build up and be able to give teams a little bit more in terms of a workload?
He absolutely has the potential to be a number one starter in baseball. It's fastball that'll range anywhere from 95 to 102 with some late explosion. It is the best splitter in the world. It makes hitters look absolutely foolish. And the slider has gotten a lot better. One of the things evaluators in Japan spoke about was last year he became more of a pitcher as opposed to just a thrower, really using that slider more, throwing it with more conviction, and really developing that third above average to plus pitch. The command and control are more than fine. Control over command, but throws more than enough strikes. The biggest thing with him as well is he still has room for physical maturity. You look at the scouting report of when Shohei Ohtani came out of Japan as a pitcher, and I'm speaking about Ohtani as a pitcher only. It was very similar to Sasaki's. And when you look at how Ohtani has gotten bigger and stronger, he's added more pitches. There's a sense that Sasaki can do a lot of the same things and could follow a similar career arc where, hey, Shohei Ohtani, just, again, speaking solely as a pitcher, Ohtani has had some injuries. There's been times he's been limited on the mound, but he has given you a couple seasons of 140, 150, 160 innings where he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball and a true number one caliber starter.
Why is it only the Dodgers and the Padres we're talking about? Rangers have been mentioned. Some other teams have been mentioned. Cubs have been mentioned. But why do you think it's just come down to these two teams? Rangers would be a nice fit. The Dodgers, listen, they're already probably going with a six-man with Shohei and Yamamoto, so they can already fit them in. But Cubs would be a nice fit. They could use them. Rangers could use them. I just don't know why it's limited. Even the Giants, you could throw the Giants in there too. Why is it mainly just the Padres and Dodgers we're hearing about?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, all those other teams very much have a shot. It would not be an unforeseen outcome if one of them signed him. They're all in the mix. Generally speaking, just in speaking with front office officials around the game, some agents around the game, the overall belief is that Roki Sasaki, again, the Dodgers and Padres are the front runners for a number of reasons. The history of successfully integrating Japanese players, the relationships those clubs have formed with Japanese players, stakeholders throughout the country, their competitive situations, as well as the fact that both Los Angeles and San Diego have very, very large Japanese populations. One of the things people sometimes forget is along the West Coast, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, very, very large Japanese and Asian populations at large. So there's a lot of comforts of home for a lot of players. They're closer to home as well in terms of flight. So those are all among the reasons that most people in the game believe the Dodgers and Padres are the favorites. That said, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Cubs all have a history of successfully signing and integrating Japanese players, all have a very, very long track record of helping those players reach their potential, and all have appealing aspects as well in terms of their competitiveness, their cities. So again, the Dodgers and Padres are widely considered the favorites based on my conversations with officials throughout the game, but those other teams are in the mix. It's not a situation where there's zero shot any of them sign him.
All right, so I know this man personally. I've watched him work. Ruben Niebla.
Yes.
Does he have the golden ticket to get Roki Sasaki in Padres fans' eyes? Is he the guy that, we love this guy? He's our pitching. Ruben Niebla is the pitching coach for the Padres. He's done an incredible job of taking Michael King to the next step, continuing Joe Musgrove's ascent, getting Yu Darvish back from injuries. He's done a ton. Can he be the one that woos Roki Sasaki to the Padres?
Ruben Niebla is absolutely a huge asset. And what he's done with those pitchers you mentioned, even a couple years ago, taking a guy like Seth Lugo, who had been more of a swingman over the course of his career, turning him into a frontline starter. Lugo was able to use that to go get the biggest contract of his career and was a Cy Young contender with Kansas City. It was the work he did with Ruben Niebla in San Diego that helped serve as a launch pad for that. So there's no question that the opportunity to work with arguably the best pitching coach in the game, and I would say the best pitching coach in the game, in a ballpark that favors pitchers, in an environment that favors pitchers, there's no question that's a huge, huge, huge asset. I think any organization that makes a pitch to Roki Sasaki, from a pitching development perspective, the Padres probably have arguably the most credibility in terms of over the last 2-3 years, the ability to take starting pitchers, help them get to the next level, and most importantly, keep them healthy. A lot of teams have struggled to keep pitchers healthy, especially as they boost innings workloads. Seth Lugo stayed healthy. Michael Wacha, who had a long history of injury, stayed healthy with the Padres. We saw Michael King go from reliever to starter, made 32 starts last year, was durable. Health matters a lot. The Padres have done a lot of good things with pitchers, and Ruben Niebla and that pitching infrastructure is certainly a huge selling point.
AJ mentioned it in passing with Luis Arraez kind of possibly being on the trade block. Is Luis Arraez overrated or underrated? And does that put the reason that he's always traded, wins a batting title, he gone, wins another batting title, he gone, like he just continues to get traded. So is he overrated or underrated because teams want him, but the team that has him doesn't want him anymore?
For my money, he's grossly underrated. Right now, the hardest thing to do in Major League Baseball is make consistent contact. And no one does that better than Luis Arraez. And you have to keep in mind that the Marlins Twins trade, he was traded for one of the best pitchers in baseball, Pablo Lopez. So again, that trade, you don't really look at that as him being not valued. That was, hey, we could get one of the best pitchers in baseball. Here's one of the best hitters in baseball. The Marlins, under their new general manager, Peter Bendix, are very, very model driven. And right now, the way models are currently built throughout baseball, they tend to undervalue contact and overvalue some of the supplementary skills. The Padres are an organization in their front office that talks a lot about how do we beat the model? And they understand that pure contact skills are underrated. That's how they're able to get Luis Arraez for very, very little in terms of trade costs. They brought in Donovan Solano on a minor league deal. He was huge for them last year. David Peralta, who's a great hitter, contact first, brought him in. He was huge for them last year. The Padres understand that making contact is hugely valuable and undervalued in the game today. They would love to keep Luis Arraez. They're just in a bit of a budget situation where they have to look at how can we cut payroll, and looking at all their available options to do so. Trading him is one of those options, as much as they don't really want to.
Okay, so help me out here. Contact is so valued in baseball. And for the record, I love Arraez for people that have watched this show on a regular basis. But then why is Ha-Seong Kim not very valued on the free agent market just now? He ends up signing with the Dodgers, and cue the Dodgers side, everyone jokes, but I'm like, he signed for a guaranteed $12.5 million over 3 seasons. That in baseball is called nothing. So what's your take on how he's looked overseas? Because he was a star there. And even if he's not as good as Ha-Seong Kim, when he's healthy, is worth more than $4 million a year. So help me out here.
Yeah, the biggest thing is it's a huge, huge, huge jump in the level of pitching from Korea to Major League Baseball. We see a lot of players struggle with it, need a little bit of time. Ha-Seong Kim, for example, really needed a year and a half before he adjusted to Major League Baseball. And at the time, you remember, he got, I think it was 4 years, $22.5 million. It wasn't a huge number either. So some of it is the market for Korean hitters is always going to be a little bit deflated due to concerns about, okay, lack of conviction, if you will. How much are they going to be able to adjust over here? At the very minimum, he has the speed and the defensive chops to be a solid utility player. It looks like that's where he's going to slot in with the Dodgers. And as he continues to adjust to Major League pitching, adjust to the greater velocity, there's a sense he could be an everyday player as a hitter. But again, when talking to evaluators overseas, it was more of an average hitter kind of player, not a Luis Arraez, batting title, 3 batting titles in a row, hitting 310, 320 every year. It's more with Ha-Seong Kim, 260, 270, a lot of stolen bases, high on base percentage. That's kind of the player he projects to be. And those players, when there's a little bit of uncertainty, how the pure hitting ability will translate due to the adjustment from Korea, it's hard to commit a big contract to that player.
Where's he going to play? That's all I want to know. Because the Dodgers keep saying Mookie Betts is going to play short and Gavin Lux is going to play second. Where's Kim going to play? Because they have Muncy at third, obviously Freddie at first. Where's he going to play? I mean, he's going to be because they have Chris Taylor still bouncing around everywhere. They have a bunch of kind of utility guys they move around. So where's he going to play? Because to me, it seems like the natural fit would be just put him at shortstop. Whatever offense you get out of him is great. Move Mookie back to right field, and boom, the Dodgers are set. Why not just do that? I don't understand why the Dodgers won't want to make Mookie Betts their shortstop.
That's a good question where he's going to play and why I was very surprised he signed with the Dodgers because there's not an obvious fit. I will say with Ha-Seong Kim, he's more of a second baseman than a shortstop. He's a quick athletic defender who can play both positions, middle infield in terms of his glove. The issue is his arm. It's below average arm strength, and his accuracy is not particularly great on longer throws. So he's more of a pure second baseman who can fill in at shortstop as needed. He's had a little bit of time in the outfield. A couple people think, you could put him in center with his speed and fill in there. So realistically, the best place for him would have been somewhere where there was an opening at second base. I thought the Mariners would have been a great pick for him. That's where he could have gone and just played every day. So I was personally very surprised he signed with the Dodgers because you're right. There's not an everyday role for him there. He's probably going to have to be another one of those guys. The Dodgers love the term optionality where, hey, they can put him at second base one day, left field the next. If they want him to fill in it short, they can, and put him in center. And he's going to have to bounce around, but I think that's just going to make it harder for him to adjust to major league pitching as a hitter when he's constantly playing a new position every day.
Kyle, thanks for the insight. You're the man. Always love having you on, learning a lot. So give Kyle a follow at Kyle A. Glaser on Twitter, and we'll talk to you very soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you. That's Kyle Glaser on FT. Be right back. TV crowd has a commercial. YouTube crowd gets a few minutes of us answering questions.
Hold on. I just don't get it. That's the one signing the Dodgers have made. I don't understand.
We're going to do a whole segment on it.
Are we? Okay.
Yes. So give me a sec because I want to get a few questions in.
I wasn't here when they signed, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
We got you. Teal pinstripes. Didn't Sasaki say he wanted a small market team? Seattle sounds like one. Also, they are trying to trade Luis Castillo.
White Sox.
Seattle didn't get
the
White in-person meeting. And do you notice that almost every team that's on his finalist list is actually a big market team? I don't think they said small market. I think Kratz, from what I recall from the quote from his representation, was he would consider small market or big market, which means he would consider the Dodgers or the Padres.
That was part of the whole shell game that Joel Wolf was playing. He was playing the whole oh, look at this. Here's the White Sox Cup. Here's the Padres Cup. Here's the Pirates Cup. Never realizing everyone whoa, he didn't say anything about the Dodgers. Stop. He's going to go wherever the best situation is for him. And just like Glaser said, Padres and Dodgers are the best situation for him. It's closer to home, as close to home as he can get. Both teams are very good teams. Great pitching development. Easy.
Actually, Seattle and San Francisco are closer, just saying. But
they're all close enough. And Seattle's not in favor
honestly,
anymore.
Seattle makes the most sense.
But they're not in favor the same way because they don't invest in their offense.
I'm just saying, but Seattle would make unbelievable sense. Then they could trade one of their starters, i.e. Castillo.
That's not Roki's problem.
For some offense.
I understand that, but if I'm the Mariners, I would have gone. If I'm Jerry Dipoto, I know he likes to trade and not sign guys, but I would have been man, this is a dude we need now.
He costs nothing. A couple other questions. College Station kid, does Roki have a strong relationship with Sugano? Well, clearly not strong enough to get a meeting with the Orioles, so no. And then what about the Giants, says Cole? They're known for great pitcher development, like Rodon, Gossman, Snell, cultural phenomenon when he would play his countrymates in LA. Yeah, they're in the running. The Giants have a shot. If I saw that he ends up with San Francisco, I wouldn't look and be like, I can't believe it.
Me neither.
West Coast team does make a ton of sense.
What about Sacramento?
Sacramento is a no for me. He would need to see how the renovations look at the finish line. They're still working.
Yeah.
Our guy
out there
Brent
in
Rooker's
Sacramento.
going there to check it out.
He has no choice.
Oh.
We are
But
going to
as
talk
AJ
about
said too,
that soon.
AJ spoke up about the small market. Chicago's not
Yeah.
a small market, AJ. Tell Jerry.
It's not what I'm hearing.
In the weeds. So you have a son who's going to play college baseball somewhat soon, right?
Mhm.
Do you dial in on all these rule changes? There's a lot of changes going on in NCAA baseball.
Do we have them
right now.
finalized though? Because it's like they're doing all these rules, but it's like, oh, they're going to be finalized soon, and soon has never been. Like they've been talking about some of this stuff for over a year now, and none of it's actually been finalized, right?
Well, we have a show that covers this topic, and it's on today live. If you check out YouTube at 3:30 Eastern time, that's when Hot Sheet will go over all these rules. JJ Cooper's dialed in. But for now, let's treat it like they are, okay? So Jacob Rudner, who's at Baseball America, said NCAA is expected to release an instructional video on in-game foreign substance checks for pitchers later this month, according to an agenda at the coaches meeting. It's a change many coaches described as long overdue. That one makes sense.
yeah, substance check, fine. If you,
Do what
you know,
MLB
when
does.
super spin guys all of a sudden they get to the pros and they can't do it anymore. There's a lot of things you hear about in college baseball, guys, sticky stuff. You know, they have the earpieces. I've heard of guys stealing the frequency stuff. I mean, there's a lot of weird things going on there. People try anything in college baseball. Like they read their lips when they're talking into the microphone, like try to read the coach's
More Wild West.
It's crazy. They
Yeah.
have iPads. They have all kinds of crazy stuff going on in
Okay.
college baseball. Which, listen, I mean, it's not really outlawed, so you can't. It's more just like a gentleman agreement that we're not going to do things, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know, Kratz, your son, you have a son that's a senior in high school. I mean, you go to some college games and you start hearing stuff and you're like, dang, that really happens?
They are so paranoid. And what I always said, even stealing signs back in big leagues, minor leagues, whatever it was, whoever's the most paranoid is most likely cheating the most or has been cheating the most. So there's a lot of paranoia in college baseball, but look at what kids are getting, not drafted for, but for getting scholarships for. Spin rate on the Rapsodo when they go to a tryout at these camps, velocity. If you can put a little sticky stuff on at a tryout and all of a sudden your spin rates are way higher, maybe your velocity isn't that 95 miles an hour that everyone's like, whoa, this guy's elite, but they can find value in it. So why would they not? And then they get into school. Schools were doing it. I know schools were doing it. And now it'll be interesting to see where that changes some guys' trajectories. The best players are always still going to be the elite ones, but it kind of muddles that middle area in college baseball.
The biggest thing for me,
Yeah.
in some of these rules we're talking about, is the new JUCO rule. Where if you can go to
doesn't
JUCO
count.
for 2 years, it
Yeah.
doesn't count. So you go play 2 years. You could actually go 3 years. You could redshirt, go to JUCO for 2 years, be basically a senior in college, go to a Division I school and be a freshman and play for 4. Possibly, they're talking about making it 5 years. So you could be 8 years removed from high school, still playing in college.
Well, let's be real.
That's crazy.
What's
to me.
happening right now in college sports? At this level with certain sports, it's semi-pro. It's not school. So
No,
that's
I
what
agree.
it's turning into, right? Hey, we saw J.R. Smith the other day. He's a college golfer now.
Yeah, but
At 30
I
something
just
years
don't
old or
understand how
40
you, like the transfer portal. I understand the transfer portal. Do I think it's the best thing that ever happened to college sports? No. Do I understand why they have it? Yes. Do I understand NIL? Yes. Do I understand baseball and what transfer portal? The coach can leave and this and that, and you used to not be able to leave, and you used to have to sit out a year. I understand that. Now you don't have to, but it's gotten to a point now where, especially if you start adding. So if you're a high school kid,
Yep.
and you get recruited by a school, okay, they can cut you at any point. I know a lot of kids now that were really unbelievably good high school players. They go to their school in college, they get cut fall. So they were there for a semester. They got to find a place to play in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's JUCO, Division II, back down. So what's happening is these smaller schools are keeping spots open in the fall for kids that are getting cut. These big Division I schools are bringing in 50, 60 kids. and cutting it down before the spring. They're cutting 10, 15, 20 guys.
But
that's
also
not right, though, because you get a kid, you got to have a limit on that, because you get kids excited. You make kids say, man, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to throw out a random school, Louisville, because there's a helmet over there, right? A Louisville helmet, right? Louisville, okay? And they have 57 kids in fall. They have to get it down to 40.
They're doing a cut on how many people can play in fall, though. Did you see that?
They need to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's insanity.
Yes.
Like you can't have kids that go their whole high school career. They commit to a school. They go to this school. They're there for 3 months. And they're like, oh, by the way, you're cut. You can't use the weight room. You can't use this. You can't use that. You still have to finish the semester in school with weeks to go. So the kid's walking around like, oh man, why am I here? And then he's got to find a place to play in the spring.
Yeah.
Like that's not cool.
But that's changing. So
but that's the way, I understand that's the way of the world.
Who knows?
But it's just not cool
something.
To me.
It's going to be 30-something.
34. 34.
Well, they're cutting it to 34. But 34 is too low for me in college. It's too low. You need 40.
Because guys get hurt.
Yeah.
And there's some players that are freshmen come in. They're not doing much.
Yeah. I mean, 34 to me is too low.
Okay. But they are taking what you're saying and really cutting it down.
Yeah, I know.
So that they don't have that problem.
Yes.
So they're on the right track. They just need to tweak the number.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it should be 40.
Okay.
If you talk to college coaches, they'll tell you 34 is too low.
What about the double bag at first base?
Doesn't do anything for me. It's like softball now.
What about a change to the 10-run mercy rule system, copying the MLB model of placing a runner on second to begin extras and expanded usage of technology in the dugout? All of those things are also added. Anything stand out?
Oh, that's fine.
Kratz, anything else? Last words?
I like the base if it keeps guys safe. I think probably it should be more of a high school thing because the talent gap is different. You know, when you play better players versus worse players, I think there's a chance for like weird plays that are injury that could happen with injuries. But in Division I college baseball, you don't have that wide gap of the varying gap of quality players versus crappy players. But I think if it helps with safety, I love it.
Yeah, I'm a double bag guy. Why
it doesn't
not?
bother me. That's not a big deal. It looks stupid, but it doesn't bother me.
It looks stupid, but who cares? Like
I know, that's what
aesthetically,
I'm
it's
saying.
not
It
that
doesn't
big a
bother
deal.
me.
Right. It bothers some people.
It
And
doesn't
I'm like,
bother
relax.
me. It is what it is.
Because there are injuries every single year with the base.
They
where
do
you're
it in
just like,
softball.
this is stupid. It's unnecessary. Just do the double bag. I feel like
Yeah,
some
but it's
people
just
are
weird
like,
when you're running down the line, you got to run in the foul territory. That to me
no,
is
but
weird.
some people are like, oh, it's soft. I'm like, stop.
I mean, whatever. That
It's
one
not
doesn't bother me.
soft.
That one doesn't bother me is you can't run over the catcher. You can't take out the guy at second.
That's what
Those are
bothers
soft.
you. Yeah.
I mean, where's Hal McRae when I need him?
Google it, kids. All right, next up, the 10 most frustrated fan bases
White Sox!
of 2024. Dave Schoenfield from ESPN swinging by.
BetMGM Casino has the most exciting live dealer tables.
Is that Wayne?
So when you want the magic of Vegas, you get the magic of Vegas. All the excitement of a player's paradise with live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, baccarat, and more. Anytime, anywhere.
I never split nines.
Download and get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 on the house. Only from the casino, born in Vegas.
Wayne, you're a legend.
Oh,
All right.
Wayne.
Yeah, let's
man.
take a couple
I love
minutes
Wayne.
here.
You
I
ever
do
met
too.
Wayne?
No,
He's the best.
I'm sure
The
you've
best.
Have you played some golf with him?
He's the best.
He's the
He
best.
is so fun. He
Yeah.
is the best.
I heard he gets after it.
He's the
He'll
best.
hit the course and have a few.
He's the best.
few
He's the
and then a
best.
few more. Okay, for 2 minutes here. You did miss a lot. Unfortunately, we all missed a lot at some point during the break because quite a few players signed. There were a few actually even before we took our little break on FT that maybe stood out. So anything, we talked about Burns for a moment, but like Buehler to Boston, Glaber Torres to Detroit,
Yeah.
Teo back to LA.
Teo to Boston to me was the one that should have happened. It didn't. Teo wanted to go back to LA.
But I don't think Boston
Buehler
even
signing
gave
a
him
1 year
offer.
for Boston to me is like, it's like Glaber signing the deal with Toronto.
Wait, why is it
Detroit.
and though? Like Boston's improving their rotation a lot right now.
I know, but I understand. But they still need a right-handed power hitter. I'm going to say it until I die.
Okay. But do you feel good about their rotation now? Because
The
it was
rotation
bad
is
in the
better,
past.
but what's Buehler? I mean, I need to see Walker Buehler healthy and pitch for a whole year.
Okay, but
Mhm.
Crochet
It's been
and
a
Buehler,
long time.
Yeah.
Crochet, great. And some of their other guys, great.
Yeah.
Giolito's coming back. They're going to have Hendricks at the back end for him. You throw in, if Walker Buehler's healthy, then it's a great move,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I got to see it first.
Okay.
I got to see it. I'm sorry. Signed a 1-year deal. I got to see it.
I feel good about this rotation compared to last year.
Of course.
That they can compete for a
100%.
postseason
But can they stay
spot.
healthy? Crochet's done it for 1 year, and he didn't even do it for a full year.
But you can make
Meaning,
that case for a lot of places.
But I'm saying they have a history of guys breaking down. And even some of the guys from last year started breaking down at the end.
Mhm.
Houck's numbers fell off at the end, right?
Yes.
Some of their other guys started falling off at the end. So I need to see their 5 do it for a whole year.
Okay.
And that's just the way it is.
No, that's fair. Better team, though.
Better team.
Not a World
100%.
Series winning team necessarily, but a better team.
They're a better team than they were last year. Now,
Yes.
they've also, if you're a Red Sox fan, you're saying we haven't done enough because
Right.
we haven't spent enough.
Yeah, you're
So
saying
we're kind of
what's
making
next?
mid moves.
They need, you're right, a right-handed bat. There are right-handed bats available. All right, here we go. Our next guest is Dave Schoenfield, who's a senior writer at ESPN. He joins us right now on FT for the first time, and I wanted to have him on anyway. But Dave, great to have you on. I saw your article, MLB Aggrieved Fan Index on ESPN, the 10 most frustrated fan bases of 2024. So happy 2025 to you. And how was it to put together the article? Depressing?
Well, it was. I'm a long-suffering Mariners fan, so I thought I showed restraint in not putting Mariners fans number one. But they're right up there, right? 4 straight winning seasons, but they haven't gone that extra step to kind of help them get over the top. But yeah, it was a little depressing to put it together.
Okay, so first off, yeah, let's go right to kind of picking at what you've got and how you put the rankings together. You put the Angels at number
How could
one.
the Angels be 1?
See, for me, Dave, based on your factors, right, like expectations and disappointments, the Angels' expectations now have been quite low for a while.
The Angels'
So-
expectations are the look on that kid's face in the graphic.
Exactly. So,
There are no expectations at this point.
well, my question is, yeah, maybe they'll get there eventually, but I don't think fans have set the bar high for a while now. Dave, I think Mariners fans got a little taste. They've barely missed the playoffs the last couple of years. Their ownership is literally just putting on brass knuckles and socking all of their fans right in the nose and saying, you like this epic starting rotation? You get nothing in the lineup. You want us to spend in the offseason? You get nothing. You want us to be involved in Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes? We're not even going to place a phone call. So don't you think they should be number one?
Hey, that's fair. The Mariners actually ran a higher payroll 10 years ago when they had Robinson Cano and Nelson Cruz and Felix Hernandez. So believe me, I get the frustration. At least they've had some success. But yeah, they have a great argument at number one. My reasoning on the Angels, look, longest playoff drought in the majors, 2014. They blew the Trout-Ohtani era, and they've tried to win. Like Marlins fans, Pirates fans, I understand. They have a right to be upset because they don't really try to win. The Angels have tried to win. They just have been terrible at trying to do it. And what have they done this offseason? Sign a bunch of 35-year-olds? How's that going to work out? Yeah, maybe they get a Pete Alonso or Santander. But, it's a long playoff drought for a big market team.
Dave, the reason you picked the Angels 1 is because you're a Mariners fan, so you couldn't pick your team 1. So you went for someone in the division that's actually been worse than you. So I get it. Here's my argument of this list. Mariners, Twins, Cubs. 1, 2, for me, or 1, 2, 3. Because one, the Mariners, like Scott said, they don't spend. The Twins have a chance to run this division. They don't spend. They're cutting payroll. And then the Cubs are in a huge market, make hundreds of millions of dollars every year around Wrigley, and they're not spending. So if I'm a fan, I'm more upset about that. Now, listen, I'm a White Sox fan. White Sox fans, they just suck, okay? We're not angry. We're just frustrated that, they're like, oh, we need a new owner, whatever the fans are saying. That's their decision, but they're just not good, okay? The Mariners are pretty good, so they should spend, right? The Twins are pretty good. Yep. They should spend.
Cubs aren't that good yet.
But the Cubs could be good if they go out and spend.
Yeah.
Right? That's, to me, are the 1, 2, 3. I get why. I get the list. Marlins, how can you be a Marlins fan and be angry? You're not going to spend. You're going to suck. You just fired your whole team. your whole organization. I mean, the Cardinals, okay, maybe. The Cardinals have had like 1.5 bad years, right? I mean, it's not like the Mariners who they went 20 years without making the playoffs, never won a World Series. Have a chance, we don't spend.
Right.
Okay, I should have put the Mariners number one. I hear you. And what's really frustrating is the Astros aren't what they used to be, right? They won the division with 88 wins last year. 2 years ago, it only took 90 wins, and the Mariners have fallen just short. And like I said, they used to run higher payrolls. We know they need a hitter. Jerry DiPoto, he's hamstrung a little bit. Every guy he brings in, Adam Frazier, Jesse Winker, Mitch Haniger, all these sort of guys that are past their prime, they don't produce. So, yeah, it has been sort of an unending string of things that just haven't worked out. And most importantly, you have this young staff when all these guys aren't making much money yet. You're blowing this window right now. Absolutely.
All right, so hit the Blue Jays. Are Blue Jays fans really frustrated? Like, what is their level of expectation? You can't be frustrated if you don't have. It's kind of like you said with the Pirates. Like, if you don't have a real level of expectation, how frustrated can you be? But the Blue Jays, where's their fan base even at? In a sense, like, are they just hoping for the Raptors to have a good season?
Or the Maple Leafs? Yeah, I think the Blue Jays. You're kind of peering into the future, and you're seeing the fact that Vladdy might leave after this year. Bo Bichette might leave after this year. You fell apart last year with a bad year. You kind of blew that window. Now the Orioles have passed you. The Red Sox are surging. They're going to pass you. And where's your team? You're trying to sign free agents. Nobody wants to go to Toronto, I guess. So I don't know. The future in Toronto looks pretty bleak to me, even though, again, they're a big market. They should be able to spend more money than they do, and they don't.
All right, so on the list there, you have the Cardinals, okay, and AJ kind of hit on it. They shouldn't be frustrated because they never really get too happy or too sad. Who would be the team that you would replace with the Cardinals? Because you have to leave the Marlins in your top 10. That's just a lifetime organization of pissed off Cardinals fans. Never really get mad, but who's on the outside that you would say, okay, you know what, Cardinals fans, you kind of have to suck it up. You don't have Yadier Molina yet. He'll be the manager next year. But who's on that? Who's the next team that you're like, if you agree with me, you bump them off, that you'd put in that top 10?
Yeah, I'd like to hear if you guys agree with me. I was going to put the Guardians on there, but my editors were kind of like, no teams that made the playoffs. But isn't it frustrating to be a Cleveland fan? You have a great baseball operations department consistently putting together good teams. You often make the playoffs, but you get to every offseason. Oh, we got to trade Jimenez. We got to trade Josh Naylor. Again, as I always say, the most important person in any organization is the owner. And the Cleveland owners don't spend. And that, again, the AL's down right now. If Cleveland made a couple moves, they maybe could go to the World Series, go a step further. So Cleveland, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, I'm all in.
Yeah, because Cleveland can spend, much like I said about the Twins. I mean, they should spend.
Shouldn't Cleveland be there, in my mind, over St. Louis? I'm with you guys. The Cardinals have had plenty of winning. I know they've only had $100 million contract in free agency, but they've spent on Arenado and Goldschmidt even lately. It didn't work out for them, but it worked out for a long time there. They're reshuffling the organization now with more help. You're right, Dave. Cleveland, have they never won a World Series, or they haven't won since like the 40s or something? Something crazy.
1948.
Okay. Yeah. So nothing in our lifetime. So Dave, I'm with you because they did do a little bit more during their last World Series run that got them to, losing to the Chicago Cubs in 7 games. This time around, you're looking even this year, you're like, this team's good. And they've just decided that they're going to spend significantly less from now on and almost rely on their front office. But you're right. I mean, you look at the team and you're like, this team's really good. They can surprise some people. But are they going to win a World Series? No.
Yeah, you look at their payrolls, they went up a little bit in 2016, and they went to the World Series. 2017, I think they won 100 games that year. And then they're like, oh, wait, no, that's too much. We got to cut $30 million off our payroll. And they're lucky they're in a weak division, winning it last year. But yeah, they just won't go that extra step. And we all know about the local TV deals and how that is being used as an excuse. But yeah, it's tough. 1948, that's a long time ago.
Dave, all right. There's 2 things that make me laugh about this list. Besides The A's aren't on it because they're just, you can't put the A's on any list because we don't even know where they're
Right.
going to play in 3 years. So the A's are out. But you got the Rockies on. You got the Rockies and the Pirates on here. They're not. The Pirates and Rockies fans aren't frustrated. They just know what they got. Their owners aren't going to spend. I got my purple shirt on today, okay, for the Rockies, right?
Wait, yeah, add me on.
Right, because
Dave
listen,
answers.
the fans of the Rockies just know. They're like, oh, we get some good players. We're trading them. They're going to draw 3 million fans, 2.5 million.
Did you see that in the article?
We're going to be, I haven't read the article because I can't read, according to Ken Rosenthal. But like they get their 2.5 million to 3 million every year. It's a happy place. They got Dinger, the Triceratops running around. They hit some homers. They do okay. It's a beautiful ballpark. But are they frustrated? I don't
No,
know.
they're not showing it. So before Dave answers, in his article, he wrote about how they've had back-to-back 100-loss seasons. But this past season, coming off a bad year and still being a bad team, not having done much in the offseason, they drew 2.5 million fans. That ranked 15th in baseball. Teams they beat on attendance, Royals, Tigers, Guardians, Brewers, Orioles, Mets. The Rockies, 15th in attendance. Dave, it sounds like you, me, AJ, and Kratz are more pissed off about that situation than the fans are because they just want to have a good time at the ballpark for a night.
Yeah, they show up. The Rockies must have the best marketing team in baseball because they're convincing fans year after year to show up despite just an awful product. They're not even interesting. They don't really have any good young players. So yeah, I can see bumping the Rockies. I mean, I don't know what's worse is you former players being on a terrible team that has no chance, or being on a team that's close and your owner won't go out and go the extra
second
yard.
one.
I guess it's
The
probably
second one.
both. Yeah.
The second one, being close and not spending. If you go into a year like when I played for the Braves, in 2015, we just knew we were going to be awful. So you just know going in like we're going to suck. Fine, we're going to do the best we can. If you have a good year, they'll try and trade you. But if you're on a team that's pretty decent, and then you get to a point where, especially if you're a bunch of young guys, and then you're like, okay, we can take the next step if we go sign some people, and you don't, that is frustrating as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, you look at a couple of years ago when Cal Raleigh, last game of the year when the Mariners just missed the playoffs, he was ticked off, right? Spoke out against the lack of moves being made. So yeah, players will speak out.
Dave, he didn't. Remember, Dave, he didn't. He changed his mind after. Just
he retracted it.
He's like, no, I didn't say that. That was misquoted.
Yeah.
Even though we had, I think on video, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he was misquoted.
He said, blink twice if you need us.
Yeah.
Blink twice if you need help, if we should come rescue you. If Kratz should come blowing through the door and just beat everyone up. All right, Kratz, you're up. What do you got?
All we've talked about is organizations, fans who don't spend, or organizations that don't spend, their fans are frustrated. Which of these are the fans frustrated with the product on the field, like not executing what should be happening? I get it. End of the day, if you spend more, you're going to have a much better team. But which of these fan bases is most frustrated about the fact that, holy crap, we have a good team and they suck?
That's a good question. I mean, look, the Yankees don't suck, but 2009 in Yankee land, that's an eternity. You haven't won a World Series. And I know the fans, they kind of seem okay with the way this offseason has unfolded, losing Juan Soto, but making the moves they've made. But, right, I mean, the Yankees are supposed to win. And one World Series trip since 2009, which was this year, and you lost. I don't know. Yankee fans, the ones I know, they're not too happy right now, even though they have a good team.
Yeah, but they're not happy unless they win a World Series. Only one team gets that. I just got a question from a fan saying, what about the Phillies? And I get it. They've had some disappointing postseason results, but I'm like, it's awesome to be a Phillies fan right now.
Phillies won the World Series 2 years ago, and they're spending money in the fans.
No, they didn't win.
They didn't win, but they still were there and they competed.
Oh, you're saying you're in the World Series. Yes. In the World Series. Also, it's not like they haven't won in decades. They did win in the 2000s. They do put a lot into their team. It's a vibe at the park. Like that is not for this list. Okay? I don't think the Yankees are for this list. The teases, Dave.
You could almost throw the Red Sox on this list. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You could have thrown the Red Sox because if you talk to a Red Sox fan, we have one on here, Jeremy, one of our directors.
Yep.
He is Red Sox Central.
Yeah,
and
that's
he is
probably
as frustrated
the team we
as
should have put on there because
Or
Yeah, they didn't
Orioles.
make the playoffs last year. 3 straight non-winning seasons. I like the direction that they're going and the moves they made and all that young talent. But you're right. You're the Red Sox. In 18 and 19, you had the highest payroll in the game. Then you're like, well, let's cut salary. Let's trade Mookie Betts. And now you've kind of been wandering in the wilderness for 5 years. And that's not the way you're supposed to operate in Boston.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, Orioles, right now you can talk to Orioles fans. They're probably pretty frustrated too.
Yeah. All right. So I've got one more because we're going to try and finish on a positive note. What about the team that should be ranked 30th on this list? Which fan base should be the happiest? I actually think it might be too obvious an answer, so you might want to give me number 2 as well, but go for it.
I mean, right, we all know it's the Dodgers, right? I mean, best team, most exciting team, owners spending money up the, whatever, bringing everybody you want that you need. So Dodgers clearly are the happiest fans in baseball. Number 29? That's a good question. I mean, I'm going Phillies. You go to that park, fans are having a ball. I remember talking to the owner, John Middleton, a couple years ago before a playoff game. And we're on the field before the game, and he looks up as the crowd's filling in, and he says, what owner wouldn't want this? You got stars galore. They love Bryce Harper. So I go Dodgers, Phillies.
Okay. Dodgers is an easy one for me. Yeah. I'll go Braves for the second happiest franchise.
Braves are a little bit.
Yeah, but
Braves
again,
fans are a little bit mad this year.
They're mad this offseason, but they've won a World Series recently. They have a consistent winner. They have a great ballpark experience. They have superstars. They keep their superstars. I'm like, what are we upset about? Because we haven't won in a few years? There are a lot of fan bases I'd like you to call and spend some time with. And they can tell you how it's okay that just because your team always does stuff in November and now it's January and they might do stuff in January instead. Come on. Don't you think they're a little spoiled right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only gripe the Phillies have is they haven't won in the postseason lately. I mean, they haven't, they didn't come up in the World Series, obviously, and then they lost to the Diamondbacks and whatever. But anyway, Dave, this was super fun. Thanks for writing the article. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully more people click into it now because they can get a lot more context there. But enjoy the rest of your offseason. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, FT fam. Be right back to dive deeper into this Hae-Sung Kim news as we learned about the money over the weekend. Staying on point while we're talking about pissed off fan bases for a few minutes here on YouTube. This was completely buried in the news during the holidays, which is so on point for the A's. But their president, who's been their talking puppet for years, 8 years now, is actually leaving. Dave Kaval, who's the president of the ball club,
it's a weird time for him to leave, too.
He's gone.
It's a weird time because they're supposed to be moving. It's just a strange time.
Isn't it?
As somebody who was like the front and center for the whole Vegas thing, to just be like, yeah, I'm quitting, guys. See ya.
I'm going to bring them to the next step. Nah, I'm out.
But he did all this stuff, and now he's doing what a lot of people that work for Oakland have to do. Get another job to stay in California. He wants to stay closer to where he's at. And this is
he could have done it in a few years, but I guess now is the time. I mean, they're going to Sacramento for what, 3-4 years, but I guess he was looking ahead. Yeah, and he just officially left, I think, on the 30th or the 31st or something like that. But yeah, I mean, Kratz, it is curious. It just seemed like the kind of guy, like AJ said, that was going to then carry it through, because if you're getting, I mean, he's getting kicked PR-wise for a long time.
He was the guy that took the most heat because he was the one that was actually out there.
Yeah.
He was like Fisher. John Fisher's like, hey, Dave, go out there and take the beating for me. Right? So he had to go out there and wear it a lot of times.
That's why my thing is, if you're fighting this fight for a long time and you truly believe in it, because character does matter. I mean, to some people, I know probably not to him because he got paid, I'm sure, plenty of money to do what he did. But don't you want to get to Vegas, even if it's just for, the first season, have success, maybe have a good team, have a full ballpark, and see that process play out, and then be like, see, told you so. All the haters, all up to this point, and now we have a great franchise running here. He didn't even get to finish the job.
Or maybe he sees that it might not be finished in the next 4 years. Maybe Dave could come on here before he starts his new job. Just saying. He's not employed by a team anymore. Dave, you are more than welcome to come on Foul Territory.
I will reach out. I can promise you that. He's done shows and podcasts and stuff before. I would say 98% chance he says no, but I can get to him. So I'm going to put it on my notes. I will give it a shot
So
for everyone to try and
chance.
understand what happened here. All right. We're coming back with the Hae-Sung Kim signing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why do the Dodgers get all the players? We hit this towards the end of the show on Friday. We didn't get the official money until after the show was done. So let's do it right now. Hae-Sung Kim comes over from Korea. He was a very successful ball player over there. Power was starting to come around a little bit, but still only a career-high 11 home runs last season in the KBO. This is a big jump to play in the big leagues. Some players take some time to adjust. The Dodgers sign him. They're going to get him for at least 3 years, his prime years, ages 26 to 28. 3 years, $12.5 million. There's an option. They either have to say, you're out and you're a free agent, or we'll pick up 2 more years, $9.5 million. So it could be either 3 years, 12.5, or 5 years, $22 million. The Dodgers get the player. Some call him a poor man's Tommy Edman, who makes a lot more money now off the extension that he signed. Good defender, makes contact, good baseball skills, good IQ, can play multiple positions. Okay, add that all up. I know AJ's going to try and figure out where he's going to play on the Dodgers. My question is, where the hell was everyone else? No one likes this guy?
Where are the Mariners?
If he's good, a lot of teams are going to have to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, what the hell's going on? Because the amount of people I saw on social media saying it's so unfair, this is getting out of control. I'm like, this was not a player who signed for $120 million. He signed for $12 million over 3 seasons. He's making less than the major league average. What? And also, apparently, he's super popular in Korea. Guess what? Dodgers make even more money now in Korea with deals with brands, with distribution, etc. Again, what am I missing here? Did it come out that another team offered him 25 and he said, nah, I love the Dodgers so much and my lack of consistent guaranteed playing time that I'm going to sign there? Or did they just get outbid and every team tried to get too cute with him and he signed towards the buzzer of that,
he signed like deadline? The last minute.
Yes, so that means he wasn't getting what he wanted from other places.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, that's a great point, Scott. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use a second baseman. I mean, the Marlins could have signed him.
So many teams.
I mean, the Rays. I don't know. This seemed like a Rays guy to me. But Dodgers, I'm gonna dig into this because see me scratching my head right now because I just don't get it. When he signed there, I was like, they signed Hae-Sung Kim to play shortstop. Oh, I get that. No, it's Hae-Sung Kim to play. I don't know where because you have Mookie playing short, you got Gavin playing second, you got Max at third, you got Freddie at first, you got Mickey Rojas has got to play somewhere.
Backup.
Maybe.
Okay, fine. Then where's Kim fit in? Luck struggles, he puts him there?
Super utility.
Okay. But what? I thought that was Chris Taylor.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
They're both super utility.
So the outfield, you have Edman going to play center, who also played short for them, don't forget, in the World Series. He did a hell of a job. He's going to play center. Teo's in left. And Conforto's in right.
Yes.
Along with
Pajes and Outman.
Yeah.
Your 4th and 5th.
Find me where Kim's going to hit.
Super utility.
Mookie plays every day. Freddie plays every day. Max plays pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Lux is lefty. Kim's lefty. I don't know. It doesn't fit.
Someone's
this piece doesn't fit.
If you're Kim, do you love the Dodgers enough, or did they offer more than everyone else enough that you don't have a guaranteed spot to play every day in the big leagues and get consistent ABs from the jump? That might change, obviously, Kratz, but from the jump, AJ's point is valid. He doesn't have a guaranteed starting spot unless they make a trade.
But also from the jump, what are the Dodgers doing that other teams aren't doing? They're putting together the best 26-man roster that they can possibly put together. Some teams are hoping. Look at some teams' rotations. we hope Walker Buehler has a bounce back year. We hope Garrett Crochet has another year like he had last year, even though he hasn't done that before. The Dodgers are saying we're going to go 8 deep on our rotation. We know history says none of our guys are going to go over 150 innings. Maybe Blake Snell will, but you also know in your infield depth, you know that Gavin Lux got the yips last year. You know that Mookie Betts at shortstop wasn't elite, but hey, you know what? We're going to give him more time to do it. He had like a week of ramp up time to play shortstop and then went and played it at a very average level, which is fine, but we're not an average team. They just keep getting more depth. And $4 million a year for depth, rather than some other teams are like, well, we have this guy that played in AAA last year. We gave him a minor league deal, and we're going to see how it works out. No, the Dodgers are like $4 million. Everybody in Major League Baseball can sneeze at $4 million a year, and we have that luxury, even if he is a 26-man on our roster.
Agreed. And you know every team deals with injuries, and you know that almost every team looks for pieces at the trade deadline, just like the Dodgers did with Edman last trade deadline, and it worked out for them. This gives them one more excuse to not have to give up a prospect for a particular player at the trade deadline because they've got the depth and things will play out. As Kratz always says, that Charlie Manuel said, water levels out. So he's going to find ABs.
And you will. Did you say at the beginning of the year, I remember Todd, when they signed Shohei Ohtani, when the Dodgers signed him, they were like, oh, they don't need anybody else. Like, they're going to win the World Series. Did they think that the 6, 7, 8, 9 hole in that lineup were going to do what they did and they needed to go get Tommy Edman at the All-Star break? No. Teams that want to win constantly are upgrading to their entire 26-man roster, and I think that's what this is. I agree with AJ. He doesn't have a starting spot currently, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't. If he has a good season, I'd be surprised if he gets under 450 at-bats.
And there's
he's not getting 400. Hold on. He's not getting 450 at-bats this year.
What if someone gets hurt?
He's not getting 450 at-bats this year.
Okay. Here's the
lineup. I'll take that bet.
I want to say for the podcast crowd that
I'll take that bet the way it's constructed right now. Now, if they trade somebody,
well, that's the whole bet.
The way what Kratz just said, though, he's going to get 450 at bats. There's no way.
Okay.
I said if he's doing well,
yeah.
If he's hitting 280 to 300, because that's what you're expecting out of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's hitting 280 to 300. I have a hard time seeing him getting 220 at bats and sitting on the bench.
Who's he going to play over? They don't trade Gavin Lux. Who's he going to play over? Mookie? No. Freddie? No. Mountsy? No. Shohei? DH? No. Outfield, Teoscar, no. Conforto, no. Edman, no. Where's he going to – DH is some guy named Shohei. He's not a catcher, so he's not playing Will Smith or Austin Barnes. So where's he going to play?
Everywhere.
Today. I agree with you. Today,
that's
what it looks like.
He's left-handed. So that takes away the platoon because their other guys are left-handed too, right? Muncy, left-handed. If he was right-handed, you could be like, oh, I'll put him at third for when we face a tough lefty. Oh, we can play second when Lux needs a break against the lefty. Oh, Conforto needs a break. We'll throw him in left field. But they have Chris Taylor to take those at-bats.
Nah, but he might
How many at-bats?
ABs over Taylor. And Taylor...
Again, Taylor's right-handed, though.
Right, true.
But how many at-bats did Chris Taylor get last year when he was hurt for 2 months?
Yeah, you're missing the point. They're all left-handed. Chris Taylor's their right-handed utility guy. They have Miguel Rojas, who's right-handed, to play those positions. He's right-handed. He's a proven commodity. Dave Roberts is going to go to Miguel Rojas first unless they do something with him. Gavin Lux, they've proven they're sticking with him. If they didn't get rid of Gavin Lux last year, they're probably not going to get rid of him. Because they stuck with him through some, excuse my language, through some shit.
Yeah, but maybe he does get dealt. Also, I wanted to point this out at the finish line because then I want to get to the next topic. Kike Hernandez
is a free agent.
And he does not have a spot, and he's probably not pleased.
He's not coming back.
There's
no way. He can't
Remember how pissed he was last year? He ends up signing with the Dodgers. It was the right move. He'll find his way on the Dodgers in October, but he's probably pretty bummed because he loves playing there.
He's one of those guys.
Did good.
Yeah, he did. He did well in the playoffs. So.
He didn't get 450 at bats last year.
Kike, no.
He's right-handed.
That was his shot to get him. And Max missed a lot.
He got 362.
And Max Muncy missed a bunch of time.
He did. He did miss a bunch of time. All right, next up, Nolan Arenado. So Chris Cotillo put this report out, which is first started by our friends at Cardinals Live. So he's been all over it. Cardinals Live is an insider account on the Cardinals that started this up. But Cotillo was writing about Arenado blocking the trade to Houston and basically wrote with Sean McAdam that the Red Sox are the choice for Arenado. That's been what he's holding out for this whole time. And you can see more context here from Cardinals Live. He said he wouldn't just approve a trade to Boston. He prefers it, as teams like the Dodgers and Yankees might have bowed out. Boston, a team still actively in the mix, seems to be the favorite for him. And then Nolan and his agent have been quietly pushing Boston in the back channels, the Fenway Park vibe, the team, the division. I guess him and Alex Cora get along, the whole deal. So there you go. Nolan's waiting for Boston to happen. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's friendly with Trevor Story. That would add to the mix here. I mean, of course, if this does end up happening, then he's playing third. Devers is going to first.
Cassis, bye-bye.
I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to have them DH Devers at 26 or whatever the heck age he is at this point? I don't know. I mean, 28. So what do you guys think happens here? Do you think it happens?
No. I think Bregman's a better fit.
So is Arenado, this puts the
Arenado's
Cardinals
going to be stuck.
It puts them in a weird spot. You just went over all that. You had the dream scenario to Houston. They were going to pick up the money. Apparently the Yankees, either some say they don't have interest at all, and others say they have interest if the Cardinals take most of the money. Yeah. The point of the Cardinals putting them out there is they want someone else to eat most of the money.
Houston said they'd eat the money.
And Arenado said,
No.
I've
told the Phil Nevin story on here.
He's going back to St. Louis, huh?
Who?
Arenado.
He might. If he.
Where's he going?
It doesn't make sense is Boston going to eat all the money?
No, Boston's cheap. They're going to be like the Yanks. They're going to be like, oh, we heard he wants to be here, so we'll take him for
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. We're going to give you nothing.
And Mozeliak said, we're not doing that.
Yeah, okay. You can't go to L.A.
No.
You can't go to the Angels, and maybe guess the Angels, but
he could go to the Angels.
He's not going to. He's a Southern California guy. He could go to the Angels, but they have Rendon who's just sitting there eating money.
Mm-hmm.
And Artie's not going to do that.
Probably not. Two guys like that at the same position, probably not. Although Rendon should be cut a while ago, but that's another
Giants.
story.
You can't go to the Giants. They have Chapman, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a staring match. I think it's a staring match right now. The teams that are going to end up getting really involved are going to say, we'll take whatever. The Cardinals are like, okay, Cardinals say we don't want to pay this down or whatever. Other teams like Boston are going to say we don't want to pay for his contract, but we think about paying for it if we get Helsley in this. I think that's where it's going to end up pushing this. I think it's going to push it. You know, at the beginning, I thought it was going to be a Phillies thing where, you know, Alec Boehm was getting moved, but then it became Boehm was just being asked about by other organizations, and you then throw in Helsley because every competing team wants a shutdown closer like Helsley.
Okay, let me ask you guys this then: who would you rather have, Alex Bregman, Nolan Arenado, or Alec Boehm? Those are the three third basemen that have been
at the same price.
No, for what they're making now. For what Arenado's making, for what Boehm's making, and for the potential to sign Bregman. One of these should fit in Detroit.
Yeah.
One of these three guys should fit in Detroit.
The thing with Detroit is they're pretty analytical front office that's very measured and calculated. They have the PTSD from Javi Baez. I don't see them giving $100 or $200 million to Bregman.
I'm just saying.
They do have a backup plan. You know what that backup plan is? A former first-round pick from a few years ago, and Jace Young, who actually looked pretty good when he was up here. And that's what they're saying to teams. They're like, if it fits, if it makes sense, great at our price. Otherwise, we'll roll with the young guys because that's what we've been doing anyway. And maybe we'll spend a little money on another starter, Kratz. That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, I know they're interested and they want Bregman, but it's probably at a similar price to what the Astros offered him.
This conversation has gone from talking about Arenado to the fact that we just figured out that Bregman has no spot because the Red Sox aren't going over 6 years. The Tigers don't think they're going over 6 years because of what you said about the PTSD with Javi Baez. So this is where I think Arenado slides in. I think it's 3 more years, if I'm not mistaken, that you would have
Yep.
it. I get it. He's not, that contract it's high. You might be able to get Bregman at the same AAV, but it's for more years, and those teams don't want to do that. So I think that's where his value comes in. But to answer AJ's question, I mean, Gold Glove defense. I just have a hard time believing that Arenado's not still a Gold Glove defender. I get it. He didn't win the Platinum Glove like he did for 6 of his 10 seasons. He didn't win a Gold Glove like he did for 9 of his 10 seasons. But I just think his value is still there. I just think teams don't want to spend the money.
He's got no power. He lost his power last year. His defense has regressed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a knock. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
But you said we went from talking about Arenado to find out Alex Bregman has no spot. Then we can continue this and go to Pete Alonso.
Yes.
Because then if you want to keep going, where's Pete Alonso's spot? Because if you start playing musical chairs,
he has a lot of spots. It's just the teams don't
he has a
wanna
lot
pay
of
for
spots,
him.
but if he has so many spots, why hasn't he found one yet?
Because he has a certain price in his head, and he's not getting that price. Okay? Does he fit on
But
the
does he
Mets?
want to go to the Angels?
Does he fit on the Angels? Does he fit on the Mets? Does he fit on the Giants? Those are all teams that need first baseman.
Yeah, but are they willing to pay what he wants?
No.
That's where you get into the spots.
Yeah. So
Alex Bregman could go to the White Sox. They're going to pay him anything.
what's the answer going to be?
I don't know.
It's
That's
gonna
why
be-
this is where it starts getting real interesting for free agents,
Mhm.
especially the top-notch guys, because you're starting to get closer in time. We're January 6th. We're a month away from spring training, 5 weeks away. 14th around Valentine's Day is when it starts, right?
Mhm.
So you're getting real close. Guess what starts happening? Wives start asking, where are you signing? Parents start asking, where are you signing? Players start going, hey, Scott, it's getting close. Like, I want to find my spring training place. I got to find a place to live in the city that I'm going to. This is when it starts getting, and as an agent and as a player, you got to, okay, we're going to figure this out.
And you ask for opt-outs on a lower deal, and then you hit 50 homers,
yeah,
win
but
a
then
World
Pete
Series.
Alonso's going to say, I've done enough. Why do I need to ask for a 1-year
They're
deal?
going to say you had a down power year. You did.
I know. I'm just saying.
I love-
Alex Bregman
trust
could
me.
say the same thing about
I
that.
love Pete, and I think he's
I love Pete
one
too.
of
I
the
love
best
Pete.
first basemen in baseball. And it is rare to find that level of power, but he didn't do it in his platform year. It does hurt, even though he saved them in the playoffs, which definitely helped raise the stock back up. It hurts, and some markets just don't play out the way you want. The front offices these days don't look at a first baseman of his ilk in the same way as they did in the past. And there just doesn't happen to be the right teams in play for him. That's part of it.
It's kind of where Bregman's at.
And what is
That's where Bregman's at.
But what does the Boris group that reps him do really well? They say, okay, we're going to figure out opt-outs, and you're going to have to go play another season like Chapman did and go hit the crap out of the baseball, and we'll try to get you a better deal. It happens a lot, though.
Yeah.
I know, Kratz, you get the guarantee on the front, and you say, hey, it's like 3 years, 85 opt-outs after each year. Stuff like that happens a lot, and often it still works out for the player. It might not in this case, but if you start to do the math, your whole goal is to get back to at least what the Mets offered. So anyway, let's swing back with more Tigers talk, because the newest host of Tiger Territory is former Tiger Austin Jackson, joining FT next. Okay, so let's do this, catching up more on moves that were made in the last couple weeks that AJ missed. The first base carousel. So this plays into what you're saying with Pete. In a matter of 24 hours, 4 to 5 teams found their first baseman. Nate Lowe traded to the Washington Nationals. He'll play
That was
first.
a spot that I was like, that would be a good spot for Pete.
Correct.
Gone.
Agreed. Same thing. I thought that could be their Jason Worth signing.
Yep.
Pete vibes, Pete homers, Pete in that division. They need the pop. The time is now in my mind for Washington, but they got Lowe. They got a cheaper option. A guy who plays a pretty nice first base these days. He's a consistent ball player. He's a little bit younger. Okay, there's that one. Goldschmidt goes to the Yankees. The big one that I pointed out that I think is a drastic difference is I know Carlos Santana had a nice year. He's really getting up there in age. I know there's a platoon situation he can thrive in with Cleveland, but to go from Josh Naylor to Carlos Santana, for me, is a big difference. And I think Arizona crushed it on replacing Christian Walker.
Yeah.
I love Josh Naylor. At that price, they didn't give up much. They gave up like a 70th or 70th overall pick and Slade Ciccone, who hasn't fared and hasn't turned out good in the big leagues yet, and they've got plenty of pitching. I'm like, that's your replacement for a year? Josh Naylor in Arizona on a free agent year? I think that was a good one.
Yeah. I just.
Which one do you like? Which one do you not like?
I love Naylor to the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Because you're replacing Christian Walker. And that guy gets big hits.
He does.
He got big hits for the Guardians. And I love Christian Walker in Houston.
Yes.
I think that was a great signing for them. But again, this goes back to Pete Alonso. Where does he fit? Because all these guys switch teams, and guess who was left without a seat? I thought the Nationals were the team.
Me too.
If it wasn't the Mets, I was like, all right, the Nationals, he knows the division. He goes from Port St. Lucie to Palm Beach, which is like 40 minutes away. So he's a Florida guy. But now you're starting looking around, and unless he goes back to the Mets, I just don't know where he fits. Because you start going through teams, right? And the teams that need first baseman don't spend.
It's an awkward position because the Mets do love him. The ownership group loves him. But they offered him a really nice deal a year and a half ago.
Oh, wait. They just got a first baseman.
Right. Well, Cole Keith.
Yeah.
He's moving to first.
Yeah.
Because Gleyber Torres
slots
in at second base.
And then
actually,
guess who they just kicked out?
Torkelson.
Where's he going?
He might get traded. And there's another team that'll say, hey, let me trade for a, 26-year-old?
1-1.
Yeah. Hey, we have team shows in the Foul Territory Network for about half the teams now.
Damn,
So
look at that
who's
beard.
joining us with that big
What a
beard right now. Yeah, Austin Jackson, newest host of Tiger Territory, joining us. Wow, and it's just perfect. It's so symmetrically inclined. I love it. I didn't know you were bringing that to the table right now. Ajax, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It blends in with the shirt, so you can't see the strings in it and all that. It takes a little work. It takes a little work in the morning.
I mean, Jax. I mean, are you passing a drug test right now, Jax? I mean, I know you're not playing anymore. You looking huge with that beard.
Come on now, Kratz.
Like John Jones.
Come on, man. Hey, it's all this work out here on the farm, bro, to get you right.
Is that what was it corn and okra season this year?
Hey, I'm belling hay, brother. Come on now.
All right, so give us the lowdown, though. So now you're hosting Tiger Territory with the guys over there, with Kieran and Cody. So tell us how your first experience went and your thoughts on the 2025 Detroit Tigers.
It was a great experience, man. We got a chance to sit down a little bit before and just kind of hash some things out and just talk about, the upcoming, episodes and just bringing me in and just kind of getting some insight on, my playing experience and things like that. And just, I'm fortunate to be not too far removed from the game, and I still have a little insight that I think that I can bring. And also, be able to watch some of the, upcoming games and kind of give some feedback and some things that, from my own experience that what's going on now. But it's an awesome time. I was excited when they hit me up, to jump on the opportunity and just looking forward to see what I can bring. But, I'm also excited to see what these young Tigers can bring, man. I think they got a little squad. They kind of established identity for themselves. And, I think everybody's kind of excited to see where this group can, how they can grow after a year like they had. I'm not really sure anybody expected it. But like I said, they have established the identity for themselves. And I think that it's going to be awesome to see where this group can go, seeing who they're gonna add, who they're gonna add to this group that can help them grow from the year they had last year.
Listen, as somebody that wasn't a huge Tiger fan for almost all of his career, can they do it again? Can they do this again? Can they do this again? Because you look at how they ended up doing this. Yes, they have Scooble, who was unbelievable for them. But, I mean, you ask A.J. Hinch about it, and he was like, yeah, we're just going to mix and match and pray and hope and, flip a coin on who's going to pitch. Can they do this again and get to the postseason and make another run like they did? Because it was amazing to watch.
I mean, yeah, this is the thing. Like I said, they established the identity for themselves. And I think that when you really get out there and you see who you are, like, hey, this is what we're capable of doing. Anything else is considered a failure. And I actually remember hearing Verlander say that one time, kind of just, in an interview saying that anything other than a World Series is going to be, it is going to be a failure. In my head, I'm like, But for them, I think that they've shown that they can get there with the team that they have. And, they're young and they're hungry. So I think they're definitely capable of doing it again. There's just so many, moving pieces and things that need to go right. Obviously health, and who's hot at the right time. But I think they've shown themselves that they can get there with the group that they have, with the core group they have. So I think they're definitely capable of doing it again.
All right, minus Tarek Skubal. Who's the guy on this squad? Who's the guy on this team that is going to have to take the next step? Because they didn't make it last year. It wasn't enough. They have a good team, but it wasn't enough. Who's the guy that's going to take the next step to push this team to the World Series and win the World Series?
Are you talking about did they currently have or who they need to pick up?
Okay. Either way.
I mean, I'm just saying it kind of who they have. Well, Torkelson, like you mentioned, is a guy that, what's going to be his role. I know I've heard you say that he's going to get traded, but I mean, I think there's plenty of potential there and, room for him to try to prove himself again. If that's an opportunity he's going to have again, I think he could be because they kind of invested a lot in him. I think that they expected him to kind of be that guy and kind of man that position. So hoping that he's, able to prove himself again. I think that he definitely can be a guy to step up. But Green, I mean, hey, this dude he's a beast, man. I think watching him and seeing his growth, watching him in the playoffs and just seeing how composed he was, seeing some of the swings he was taking, the damage he was trying to do. I mean, this guy is, made the All-Star team, I think he's definitely the catalyst that kind of makes that team go. So I'm really interested to see what his growth is going to take on this next year, especially after the year they had. He can definitely be a guy that, leads this group.
Jack, so I want to spend a few minutes with you on Miguel Cabrera since you played with the legend, and apparently he had a little say in Gleyber Torres making his decision to sign with the Detroit Tigers. So give me the goods on what it was like to play with Miggy. You really had him as a teammate during his prime years. So what was it like to watch? But then also, what was it like to be around him? My experiences around Miggy are always like, oh, sure, you want to learn how to be a great ball player? You just do this. And for everyone else, they're like, yeah, my this is not the same as your this.
Yeah, man, you hit it right on the head, man. I always question, I always try to figure out, I'm like, was Miggy like this Albert Einstein of baseball, or was were the things he was actually telling me, was it just that simple? Or did he just think that my brain and the way I thought couldn't handle how technical he really was? Like this dude would tell me things and I'm like, dude, just keep it tight, puppy. Just keep it tight. What is that? That's not it, Miggy. You're not telling me to keep it tight and dry. I do that, and that's a single over the second baseman's head. That's a ball in the 10th row for you in right center field. This dude he was amazing to watch because I think people don't realize he was a really good hitter. First, he was a hitter with power. There's power hitters, there's hitters, and there's hitters with power. I think Miggy was a true hitter that was blessed, obviously, with size, but watching his BP, watching his routine each and every day, it was amazing. It really lets you know the work and the time that this dude really put in, that people don't get to see. It's really behind the scenes work that he put in that I, was fortunate enough to be able to watch on a day in and day out basis, that really made, me understand this dude is a once in a generation type dude. He's a generational talent. And, just being around him, seeing the person he was on a daily basis really made it even that much more sweeter because he was just a clown, just like everybody else. Like he loved to, crack jokes. He loved to keep it loose. He loved to keep the clubhouse loose. Loved to dance. Loved to sing. Like everything that you kind of wanted out of a guy like that, he was, and that's what made him, a special player. The fact that he not only was a great baseball player, but he was really a great human being as well. So,
all right, listen. If I obviously got to play against Miguel Cabrera for a lot of years, and I had to face him 19 times a year, and he got a lot of hits. And I just want to know, like, was he always as unserious as he seemed? Because, you're telling these stories about him. Every time he came up, he was joking. You look at him at first base, he's like trying to push you off the – it was like he was like a 4-year-old. I'm like, Miggy, we're in the middle of a pennant race here, and you're trying to, like, push me off the base. And then you're like, I got you, Poppy. I'm like, dude, I'm like trying to grind through a bat off Verlander. I get on first and trying to figure out, oh, man, I got Verlander, Like, was that just how he was? Because I never, and then he come up the next at bat and you think, oh, he's going to be joking. And he give you the death stare and you're like, oh, man, now he wants to fight. Which one was it?
That was Miggy, though. That's like the thing that I think everybody's trying to figure out, about Miggy. I mean, he wasn't this just serious person all the time. It was all business. I think he knew when to turn it on, when to turn it off, but that was him. Like, seriously, that was him all the time. Like, there'd be times where, you didn't go up to Miggy that day. You could tell there was just a seriousness. There was just a different calmness about his mannerisms that day. And you're like, okay, probably not the day. But a lot of the days he was the one coming up to you, trying to lift your spirits up, trying to keep you, joking with a smile on your face. So that was honestly like what you're saying. That's why I'm laughing so hard, because that was Miggy. That was Miggy, like, all the time, like in a coach's meeting or, in a meeting when we're in there trying to, go over there, pitching, who's pitching that night and have a plan. We're in there serious. Maybe, one of the pitching coach or the manager, he says something wrong and, you cut your eyes and look at Miggy, you like, oh, like Miggy, don't look at me right now, bro. Like, don't, like, that's the dude. Don't look at him in a meeting, because you're gonna laugh and you're gonna get in trouble. Like, that was Miggy. That was Miggy, like, all the time. He's a jokester, man, but on that field, he knew when to turn it on, and that's what the great ones can do. So,
all right, you had one of the best agents of all time to get contracts, but sometimes Boris gets a little bit of ire at this time of year when you have a Bregman, when you have a Pete Alonso. How did you handle those free agent times? I get it, you weren't doing it like those guys are doing it, but you had your times. What is something that fans don't know about Boris during this time? Because everyone's like, well, why doesn't Boris just let Bregman come and sign with my team? Or, why has he got to hold out? And, why can't he just let us get the best players?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I definitely wasn't one of those guys. So, I mean, I was more on the bottom of the chopping block. It was like, hey, this is what's left. Everybody done ate. This is kind of what you got, brother. So, I wasn't one of those guys, but I do know that, the experience, at least, for me and guys maybe that are in my position, I mean, it's tough because it's a waiting game, and you can, it's stressful. I know you mentioned it earlier, AJ, like, where am I need to get, like, there's too many things, you got the wifey asking you questions. You got, the family, where are you going to be? You don't know. So, being patient, really the biggest thing I think too is, staying on top of your training and your work and your workouts and all that, like the things that you would normally do. Like, don't get distracted by, all the things that the process is going on. Like, I really had to make sure that I was, staying on top of everything and making sure that I was, getting those workouts in, make sure I was still eating right, doing everything, because the time is going to come for those guys. It's just more of the right situation. Money makes it. Hey, money is a big thing, right? In these decisions. So, Sometimes you're making a decision based off, the contract, and sometimes it's where do you want to play on the East Coast or West Coast? Some guys have the ability to do that. So, there's so much that goes, along with, especially being a Boris client, that you might have a little bit more insight, maybe. But at the same time, when the options are limited, you make a decision based on what's best for you and your family and something you're comfortable with. So,
last one, we've got a super chat fan question from Ref here in the YouTube chat, and he basically told everyone to look up your 2017 catch at Fenway Park. There it is. He's like, can you please explain to everyone the time that you made that amazing play in Boston, went over the wall? I just watched it back again to remember it. It's like not just the catch, the way that you orchestrated your arm to kind of soften the landing. I don't know. You give us the play-by-play on it. We'll cut this together and show it to everyone on social media later too. But what do you have for us on that one? What do you remember?
Well, I'm going to be honest. That play, you don't realize how much things are in slow motion, and during times like that, like I can remember little small details, looking at the who was pitching in the bullpen, looking at fans' faces, looking at the dirt, looking at the grass as you're going down. But the biggest thing I remember, no joke, is when Torrey Hunter went over the wall when he tried to catch David Ortiz's grand slam, and I saw he did not grab that wall. And I saw I saw the way he looked when I ran over there, and I was like, that's not what I want to look like. So I grabbed the wall. That was honestly what, yeah, I'm going to catch the ball, but I'm thinking my legs just got swiped, grab that wall, because you don't want to look how Torrey looked when you ran over there. That is something that was literally going through my brain at that moment. Grab the wall. Don't look like that. So the everything slows down. You have so much time to think about stuff in a split second. And another thing too was really kind of proving that I could still go get it. I had to prove a lot that year that I was coming off an injury and MCL injury. And so I had to really, I had to prove that was a prove it year, at least in my mind, to show that, hey, I could still go get it in center field. So it was one of those plays that I felt for a little bit after that, though. I can tell you that.
What you just described is the difference between a pro athlete and an average Joe. In your head is a catch that is made at a different time and how you should stick the landing differently and hold on to the wall.
First of all, Torrey didn't catch it.
He did not.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
By the way, I'm going to call Torrey.
You're right.
I'm going to call Torrey and tell him that Austin Jackson was making fun of him on our show. So if you get a call from Torrey later, if Torrey, you get a call from Torrey later, you know why.
Yeah, but think about this.
Torrey, tell him. He'll tell you. I walked over. I was like, T, that ain't a good look for you, brother. You need to get up. Get up.
Wait, but you're doing that. He's noticing the bullpen, the crowd, the grass, whatever. If you put an average Joe out there for a play like that, this is what's going on in their head.
True.
And nothing else.
But it does happen. I mean, I never caught a ball jumping over a wall, but you'd be amazed how quick, like what Austin said, your brain can go a million things can run through your brain like that. He was probably going back and he's thinking, Torrey looked like a fool when the cop did the whole thing, right?
Yes.
He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to catch it. I'm going to look smooth. I'm going to come back. Everyone's going to be cheering me even though I'm in Boston.
That's the good stuff.
They
did. Everyone was tipping their cap. You robbed Hanley Ramirez on that play, who I totally forgot about that whole little stint. But anyway, Austin, this was awesome, man. Great to have you on. Congrats on joining the FT Network fam. Excited to hear you on Tiger territory throughout the season for appearances with Kieran and Cody. There they are. That's how people can get involved with the show. Check out the YouTube channel. Follow it on Apple or Spotify. Brand new show that was launched in October when the Tigers were making their run. So, Jax, great to see you, man.
Nice. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thank you. Be right back, FT fam. BetMGM, Leo's back, and we've got futures for you. We're going over the Rockies win total. The number that was released this year by BetMGM is 60.5. Are you going over? Under. AJ's got 2 thumbs down. He's feeling really good about an under there. I'm with you. That feels light, doesn't it?
Well, they've lost 100 the last 2 years. Their division hasn't gotten worse.
It's gotten much better.
Exactly. And they haven't done anything. They signed Jacob Stallings, Kratz's brother.
So what's the math here? That the young guys will improve some.
But who? What young
minor
guys?
leaguers will come
Tovar?
up? No, there's young players. Yes, Tovar is
McMahon?
one. No, McMahon's not a young player. Charlie Condon's going to be up this year, and he's probably going to hit.
Yeah, but Chris Bryant's going to play a
Chase
lot?
Dollander is going to compete for a spot.
Nolan Jones will have a bounce back year.
Yep.
Yeah, but okay. The Dodgers, they play 13 times. They play the Padres 13 times. They play the Diamondbacks 13 times.
Oh, they're screwed, man.
I mean, there's 40 losses probably right there.
They're so screwed.
Under.
Yeah, they're losing,
The Giants are a better team than them.
I would be shocked if they didn't lose at least, 104 or
I'm thinking 105 to 110-ish.
If they lost 110,
I'm locking it in today.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm locking it in.
Yeah.
I'm locking it in today.
Oh, you're locking it in before they sign the rest of the free agents? You're so
I wore my
so
purple
vicious.
shirt today because I knew we were doing this, because I knew the Rockies were not going to win, 60 games? 60 and a half?
60 and a half.
It's under. They're in the 50s.
Under.
Yeah.
They still don't have their bullpen was so brutal last year. They had some dudes that stepped up at the end that were able to throw strikes, which that's an improvement. They're not doing anything. Hit the under.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I agree. All right, and if you're betting on anything else right now, the BetMGM $1 Million Football Playoff Challenge is free to play. If you think you know playoff football, prove it in their free-to-play game. For each round of the big game playoffs, you have the opportunity to answer 3 historical playoff football questions. If you get all 3 correctly, you'll win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. First entry periods here now, 3 questions about the wild card games with $250,000 in bonus bets up for grabs. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And we'll be right back with a little story time from AJ, who needs to help us explain a tweet from the holidays.
I'm going to get my blankie for AJ story time.
Me too.
It's not snowing here.
Bad for you.
You're sitting like I do. Story time with AJ.
Yeah, not role play with Scott.
Cross-legged, sit down, get excited, and explain to us this tweet over the holidays, right around Christmas, when Mark Bowman said, "Let me know if you hear anything interesting at Honey Baked Ham today." He says it's the 10th anniversary of Freddie Gonzalez telling another Honey Baked Ham customer that AJ Pierzynski was signing with the Braves. Freddie confirmed this happened via text that concluded with "Merry Christmas" and F Twitter. One of the best texts I've ever received.
Okay, so this is a true story. So I signed with the Braves. I was actually at a friend's birthday party right here up the street in Orlando. And I was on the phone the whole time with the Braves, with John Hart and John Coppola. And basically, not that I was negotiating myself, but I've known John Hart for 30 years, since I was in high school. So we kind of had a conversation. He's like, "We want you to come to the Braves, help our young guys." I said, "Okay." I said, blah, blah, blah. Let's get this done. So it was like 23rd of December, 22nd of December-ish. And I was like, "Okay, it's done." I call my agent. We'll, you guys figure out the contract, but it's done. So I guess Freddie Gonzalez was in line at Honey Baked Ham when Hart or Copy called him, buying the ham for Christmas. And he told a fan, he got all excited. He's like, "Oh, we just signed Pierzynski." And the fan was like, "What?" And then he tweeted it like right away from Honey Baked Ham. And then I guess Bowman, if you know Mark Bowman.
Yes. Braves beat writer.
He found out about it through the fan tweeting it. And then Freddie was like, "Yeah, screw Twitter," because Freddie was just trying to be nice. And so then I was like, I called my agent. I'm like, "We need to get a deal with Honey Baked Ham. How do I get an endorsement deal with Honey Baked Ham here?" And it never came to fruition, but it was just funny that So now every time I see a honey baked ham, I always think of that story. And
That's good.
yeah, that's a true story.
I didn't know that one. So
Yeah.
I saw it. You were away. Obviously, it was Christmas time.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for that one. And yeah, not much gets past us.
No,
So-
but it was funny because Freddie and I had a long conversation about it. Freddie's like, I was just trying to have a nice ham for the holidays. And next thing you know, I get this tweet or this text and, I was super excited. And I just tell one guy in line. And then it became a story. And then I had to explain to my bosses how other people found out, before you do the physical and before you.
Wasn't
it was
your
official.
fault.
It wasn't my fault.
No. Did they
You know
think-
what's funny about when I was a free agent a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I would sign with teams. Ken Rosenthal's on the show would always call me. Boom. Where are you signing? I heard you're getting close somewhere. And I was like, Ken, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. Because I would always try to wait until the physical. Because Carlos Correa, not that I was signing for that much, but there were times where physicals you would fail. Not that I was worried.
Yeah, but the news breaks before that.
I understand that. So Ken used to get really mad at me because I would never tell him. And he'd always find out through someone else. He's like, why won't you ever tell me where you're going to sign? I'm like, well, I'm trying to let the process play out.
Mm-hmm.
And but this time it didn't play out either.
No. Well,
But-
get your ham, folks, next
Yes.
Christmas time, because you never know which story you'll break. All right, back again, folks. And here's one for the next few minutes for AJ to get caught up on is we did have one super, super sad story during the break. We were on, it was, I think, the last show that we did live before, but we lost Ricky Henderson. We didn't have on for that one. And I was like, damn, AJ would have liked to say how fun it was to watch Ricky.
I was fortunate if I got to play against Ricky.
Yeah.
So, my favorite Ricky story that I always tell people is they're like, "Do you ever play against Ricky?" And I was like, "Yeah." I want to say he was in Boston, maybe at the time.
Do you remember the year? I can look it up while you're saying it.
It was 2003. 2000. I was in Minnesota. I know I was in Minnesota. Maybe he was in
2003. He was on the Dodgers. Then Boston 2002. Maybe it was
2002.
Yeah.
So we're playing against Ricky, and he fouls the ball off in the middle of the game, and it goes down the left field line like you do a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hear him go, "Oh, thank God!" And I'm like, "Huh?" He goes, "I'm so happy that ball didn't hit Ricky's foot. That would have hurt Ricky's foot real bad." And I just started laughing because he was talking to the third person.
He does that.
I know,
all the time.
but until you actually hear somebody do it, especially someone you've heard about for years doing it, and then you hear that person do it, I was like, I had to call timeout, and I was like, hold up. And then the pitcher after the inning, they went to the dugout, and they're like, what was so funny? And I told everybody the story, and they're like, no way, he really talked in the third person. I was like, yes. He fouled the ball off. He goes, oh, that would have hurt Ricky's foot real bad.
Right. I think some people don't realize he spoke that way like basically all the time.
Yes.
He was a movie character.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he was. He was a ridiculously good player. I watched some highlights over the break too, just to see the stats, the whole deal. I mean, he was
a big bat flip guy.
Yeah,
when he was in Oakland, he had remember the fluorescent green batting gloves with the pads,
and he was doing that way before it was okay.
Before.
So people were giving him crap.
Jacked too.
He was jacked.
Oh, I remember. I mean, that year in 2002 he was like 40s, like late 40s. I don't know. He was in his 40s, 41, 42. And I'm like, damn, this is what it looks like to be a 42-year-old? 43-year-old? I'm like, oh, boy.
Remember, he started with the big boy A's.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yankees?
Right? Yankees, yeah. He played on some teams that were pretty jacked where they made him look, not that big, but he was a big boy.
Oh, man.
A lot of power, obviously speed for days. Just super entertaining guy to follow. All right, let's. Hey,
hell yeah!
How was Thailand?
Oh man, Thailand was amazing. And for people
You're that big of a Tigers fan?
I am. See, we should have showed that when Austin Jackson was
Tiger
on.
territory.
But listen, Tiger Kingdom. you ever get the chance to go to Thailand, there's
Yeah.
2 of them, okay? The second time I got to do this. This time was way cooler because what you can't see, there's another one bigger than that dude in the background just walking around. So no, they're not drugged. No, they're not whatever.
Wait, but then why? Like, they're just cool with people? They're
They
trained
were
that way?
raised in captivity, so they're
Yeah.
used to people.
Gotcha.
And there's a little Thai guy with a little stick that when
Yeah.
they get out of line, they just whap them. One time, like on the rear, like they just go boop. And the Tigers, man, it was unbelievable. We went in there. There was 7 of us that went into this cage.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a pretty big size cage. And they put one down, and they have another one just walking around, right? And so they let you walk with them. So they'll have a video of me. The Tiger's about up to here on me, and you just walk with them. Boop, 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 boop. You walk back and forth with this tiger. It's one of the craziest things you could ever do because people are like, "There's no way they let you in a cage with a tiger," but you're in this cage, and there's 2 tigers in this cage, and these are monster tigers, and you pay like $10 to do it.
Kratz,
You
would
can take
do
all the
it?
photos you want.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I was thinking when you sent us this picture, I was thinking about it. When I was in South Africa, I went on safari, obviously, but we went on a walking tour. We tracked a lion, like in the wild. I'm not sure which I'm more comfortable with. Like I felt comfortable tracking the lion into where it was throughout, the safari, but I don't know, man. Like that's a big tiger, dude.
Yeah, but on the walking tour, he probably had a gun. There wasn't no gun. There was a dude with the stick.
That's why. He's hungry. Oh, no. All right, we're still here, YouTube crowd, for a few minutes until Dodgers territory swings by, and they'll talk about the Kim signing, among other things. We will have Baseball America Hot Sheet at 3:30 Eastern Time. Let's show my stuff. I just threw a few things in the scrapbook. Let's see what they go with first for my little trip. So I went to Japan, Tokyo for about a week, a couple days in Kyoto. Then some people probably saw me in my stop back.
Shohei, baby.
He is everywhere.
Oh, that's
that
right.
was just to prove that I eat sushi and tuna and all that, and
I
that
didn't
I
see it
actually
going
can eat
into your
food.
mouth.
Oh, if you wanted me to do that, I could. But look, Shohei is everywhere.
seriously.
I'm telling you, he is everywhere. And the thing is, he's actually kind of subtly everywhere. So there's like certain. Did you see that? Like there's certain images
it wasn't like
of him.
big billboards.
No, and some of it's just okay. So here's my prediction: stock photos. So I think he just sells his name, image, and likeness to some of these places because he's so damn busy. Obviously, that's not really Shohei, but like that one, I'm like, I don't know. They probably just got a picture of Shohei in a suit and a picture of him smiling. They say, "Hey, here's $10 million. Can we put you on our matcha?" And he's like, "Okay."
That's great. Love it.
So
By the
he's-
way, Kratz, I know you didn't get to do this either. I mean, which I've been to Japan. They love their baseball people. But
Oh my
Kratz, when you
gosh,
went on
yeah.
safari, so in Chiang Rai, we stayed at a hotel where they let you feed elephants. So they bring 2 elephants in every morning at breakfast, and you actually got to feed them. So you literally have a video of me handing elephants bananas.
Oh, you
and
didn't send us that. We'll show
cucumbers.
that
I will.
tomorrow.
I'll send it for tomorrow. But
Yeah.
you literally go like this, and there's 2 elephants, Linda and Boontsy were the 2 elephants. Okay, Linda was called Linda because you can actually, they have like elephant nurseries over there, so you
Sure.
can pay for the elephant. So my daughter said to me, she's like, "Dad, I want you to get me an elephant so that I come back and there's an Ava elephant." I'm like, "No, crazy." But the elephant was named Linda because the person that sponsors Linda was named Linda. But I was actually at the same hotel 8 years ago,
Okay.
almost to the day, right? And the same elephants were. So
Linda?
the elephant, there was. Now I'm going to say this, and people don't get mad. They used to let you ride the elephants. You can't do that anymore.
Because that's not humane.
It's not humane.
Okay.
So but the first time I went, you were actually able to get on the elephant and ride them. They stopped it, which I get.
Yeah.
But the elephant I rode and the elephant my wife rode were there 8 years later. So I got to kind of reunite with the elephants.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool.
See,
So-
that I would do.
See, that was cool.
Sign me up for that. Kratz hats real quick if you want it.
Team that's doing a lot in free agency. The Rays.
Hey, they signed more than some people have.
Ooh, you're not wrong.
There's actually
Glad
a
to
lot
put that
of
under on the
shutout
Rockies.
teams right now. Yeah, we're going to go over that at some point. A lot of teams haven't done anything yet, but it is only January 6th, so keep that in mind. Dodgers territory coming up next. Baseball America Hot Sheet on all those changes in the college game. Plus, we're going to look back at the 2020 draft. Who did well, who did not. Otherwise, You too, Scott.